You're 3 years old when you first see death up close, not the peaceful kind, the violent kind. Your mother clutches you to her chest, one hand covering your mouth to stifle your cries. The smell of her sweat mixes with the metallic tang of blood hanging in the air. Through the dense brush, you watch as a saber-toothed cat drags away what remains of an elder from your tribe. His legs twitch with the last sparks of life as crimson pools beneath him. The year is 1.8 million BCE. You are Homo erectus, and this world wants you dead. Your tribe, 27 strong before today, huddles silently in the thorny acacia thicket. The cat can't reach you here, not through these spines, but neither can you leave until it's gone. Your 3-year-old stomach growls. It's been a day since you last ate. The water skin passed around is nearly empty, but nobody moves, nobody speaks. You learn your first survival lesson today. Silence keeps you alive. The beast finally leaves at dusk, dragging what's left of the elder's corpse toward the horizon. Your tribe waits another hour before slipping away in the opposite direction. This isn't grief or ceremony, it's pure survival. The smell of death will bring hyenas next. Later, as your tribe settles in a new clearing, you notice something strange. Nobody cries, nobody wails. The elder is simply gone. In a world where death stalks every watering hole and lurks in every shadow, mourning is a luxury you cannot afford. By tomorrow, they'll barely speak his name. He made a mistake. He was too slow. You mustn't make the same error. You learn your second survival lesson. Remember the dead only long enough to avoid their fate. You sleep nestled against your mother's back, your small body tucked into the curve of hers for warmth. The East African night is cold, with temperatures dropping fast after sunset. Your kind doesn't have full control of fire yet. That innovation lies generations ahead. Instead, you have body heat and shallow pits dug into the earth to break the wind. When you wake, you're surrounded by the sounds of movement. The adults are already gathering what little they own: stone tools, animal hide water bags, infants. There's purpose in their movements, not panic, but urgency. One of the males has spotted tracks, lions moving toward the stream, where your tribe had planned to collect water today. So you move. Again. This is life for Homo erectus. You're nomads not by choice, but by necessity. Stay in one place too long and predators find you. Your ancestors once lived in trees, safe above the ground, but evolution gave you a new body built for walking, not climbing. You gained endurance and lost escape routes. It's a trade-off that makes you both powerful and vulnerable. Your small tribe makes its way across the savanna, a landscape of golden grasses punctuated by scattered acacia trees. You're walking on 2 legs now, no longer carried except when your little feet can't keep pace. Your body is different from the modern humans who will evolve from your kind. Shorter, more robust, with a protruding face and pronounced brow ridge. Your brain is smaller, but still twice the size of a chimpanzee's. It's enough to help you recognize patterns. Like how vultures circling mean there's a kill, possibly with meat still on it, or how certain animal tracks are fresh while others are old. You reach the next watering hole by midday. It's a drying mud patch, really. Barely enough to fill your tribe's water skins, but it's not completely dry, which means animals will come, and where animals gather, predators hunt. Your tribe will be quick. Drink, fill the skins, and leave before something bigger arrives. As the adults work, you watch the horizon with the other children. Your eyes aren't better than an adult's, but you're shorter, which means you see things they miss, like the ripple in the tall grass 50 paces away. Snake, you whisper. The word passes through the group, like electricity. Black mamba. one of the deadliest creatures in Africa. Its venom can kill in hours. There's no medicine, no antidote, just death. An adult male grabs a stone and hurls it toward the movement. The grass parts to reveal the snake, thick as a man's wrist and black as night, slithering away in retreat. This time, you're lucky. The warning came soon enough. You learn your third survival lesson. Eyes save lives. That night, as your tribe makes camp in the shadow of a rocky outcrop, you get your first taste of meat in days. One of the hunters has killed a small gazelle with a stone and wooden spear. It's not much for 26 people, but it's protein, brain food, the stuff that will help your species evolve larger brains with each generation. The meat is raw. Your kind hasn't mastered fire well enough to cook consistently, though some tribes are beginning to tame it. Instead, stone tools do the work that fire will eventually perform. Sharp flakes slice through sinew and break open bones for the fatty marrow inside. This process makes the food more digestible, releasing nutrients your growing brain desperately needs. Your mother hands you a small strip of liver, dark, iron-rich, and filled with vitamins. It's bitter and chewy, but you devour it. In this world, being picky means being dead. The skies open just after the meal, unleashing a torrent that has everyone scrambling for shelter beneath the rock overhang. The rainy season has begun early this year. Water is life, but too much brings challenges of its own. Flooded plains, mud that swallows feet, and rivers too dangerous to cross. Climate isn't just weather for your kind, it's destiny. It shapes where you can go, what you can eat, and whether you live or die. The fluctuating climate of the Pleistocene era is already driving your species to adapt or perish. Those adaptations will eventually lead some of your kind out of Africa entirely, spreading across Asia and Europe in the greatest migration your species will ever know. But for now, huddled beneath a rock as lightning splits the sky, migration is the furthest thing from your mind. Survival until morning is all that matters. You drift to sleep to the sound of rain, your belly fuller than it's been in days, surrounded by the smell of wet earth and the warmth of bodies. It's as safe as life gets for Homo erectus. The morning brings humid heat and buzzing insects. Mosquitoes feast on your exposed skin, adding itchy welts to the collection of scrapes and scratches that constantly mark your body. Disease is an invisible enemy you can't comprehend, but it kills as surely as any predator. Malaria, dysentery, parasites, they're all waiting to find a way inside you. Today, your tribe is hunting. Real hunting, not scavenging. It's a different kind of danger. You're too young to join, but old enough to watch from a distance with the other children and some of the females. The males and stronger females form a semicircle and begin to move across the plain. Their target, a herd of antelope grazing by the tree line. What happens next isn't the elegant stealth of a lion or the crushing power of a hyena. It's something uniquely human, persistence. Your tribe doesn't sprint or pounce. They walk, steadily, relentlessly. Under the beating sun, they pursue the herd at a pace that never falters. The antelope bolt, sprinting away with explosive speed, but they can't maintain it. They stop, look back, catch their breath, and your tribe keeps coming. The antelope run again, stop again. Each time they recover a little less, breathe a little harder. This is your species' superpower. Thermal regulation through sweating, no fur to trap heat, a cooling system that lets you keep moving when other animals must rest or die of heat stroke. It's a marathon, not a sprint, and Homo erectus is built for the marathon. 3 hours later, one antelope stumbles. It's young, maybe sick. The hunters close in. A stone-tipped spear delivers the killing blow. There's no ceremony, no trophy, just efficient butchering before scavengers catch the scent. By sunset, the meat is distributed, and your tribe has moved again. You learn your fourth survival lesson. Patience can overcome greater strength. Seasons change. You grow. By age 7, you're learning to make tools yourself. It's not instinct, it's culture. Knowledge passed from hand to hand across generations. Your small fingers struggle with the coordination needed to strike one stone against another at just the right angle. Too hard, and the core shatters uselessly. Too soft, and nothing happens. Just right, and a sharp flake breaks off. A cutting edge that can slice hide, meat, or vegetation. You cut yourself more than once. Blood wells from your palm where a flake slices deep. There's no medicine, no bandages. Your mother presses a wad of chewed leaves against the wound, plants with natural antiseptic properties that her mother showed her, and her mother before that. It stings worse than the cut itself, but infection is more dangerous than pain. That knowledge, which plants heal, which plants kill, which can be eaten and which cannot, is as important to survival as knowing predator tracks. The human advantage isn't just in your body or even your brain. It's in what one brain can teach another without each generation starting from zero. By age 8, you've survived longer than half the children born to your tribe. Childhood is the deadliest time for Homo erectus. Too slow to flee, too weak to fight, too small to survive injury or illness. Making it to adolescence is itself a victory. You help gather now. Tubers, berries, eggs from unattended nests. The females show you how to find water by following animal tracks or digging where certain plants grow. The males teach you to recognize every footprint in the mud. Lion, leopard, hyena, buffalo. Each one a different kind of threat requiring a different response. Run from lions. They're faster than you, but they'll rarely chase what doesn't flee. Climb from leopards if you can, though your body isn't built for it anymore. Make yourself big and loud against hyenas. They're cautious of injury and prefer easier prey. With buffalo, simply stay away. They're herbivores, but will trample anything they perceive as a threat. One morning, your tribe awakens to strange tracks around the perimeter of your sleeping area. Not animal prints, human-like, but different, larger, heavier. Another hominid species, not necessarily hostile, but not necessarily friendly either. Resources are scarce. Territory matters. Your tribe moves immediately, leaving before there's any encounter. It's not worth the risk. There are at least 4 other hominid species alive during your time. Homo habilis with their smaller frames, Paranthropus boisei with their massive grinding teeth, and others occupying different niches in the landscape. Competition isn't just with predators, it's with your evolutionary cousins too. The dry season intensifies. Water sources shrink. Animals concentrate around the remaining pools, creating both opportunity and danger. More prey means more predators. Your tribe approaches each watering hole with extreme caution, scanning for threats before exposing themselves. At 9 years old, you experience your first real drought. It's different from the usual dry season. Longer, harsher, the plants wither, animals die. The land turns to dust that coats your skin and fills your lungs. Your tribe walks farther each day in search of water, covering distances that leave your young legs trembling with exhaustion. 2 elders don't wake up one morning. Their bodies, already thin, couldn't endure the strain. There's no time or energy to mourn. The tribe takes their tools and moves on. You learn your 5th survival lesson. Nature's cruelty is impersonal. The drought breaks with storms that transform dry riverbeds into raging torrents within hours. Your tribe seeks higher ground, but not everyone makes it. A female with her infant is caught in a flash flood. Their screams fade as the water carries them away. Again, there's no mourning, only the grim acknowledgement that the group is now 3 fewer. By your 10th year, something fundamental has changed within you. The constant vigilance, the perpetual awareness of danger, has rewired your developing brain. You don't just observe threats, you anticipate them. You don't just react to danger, you avoid it before it materializes. This heightened awareness isn't paranoia, it's survival. The ancestors of Homo sapiens will eventually call it anxiety, treating it as a disorder when the dangers it evolved to detect are gone. But for you, it's the reason you're still alive when so many others aren't. Your childhood is ending as your body begins the changes that will make you an adult. For Homo erectus, adolescence comes earlier than it will for future humans, around 10 or 11 years old. Your species lives fast because it dies young. 30 is ancient. 40 is almost unheard of. One evening, as your tribe makes camp in a small clearing, you notice something unusual, a faint glow in the distance. Fire. Not a wildfire, but a controlled one. Another tribe has what yours doesn't, mastery of flame. The adults debate late into the night. Fire means warmth, protection from predators. Eventually, it will mean cooked food and expanded diets. But fire also attracts attention from animals and other hominids. Is it worth the risk? By morning, the decision is made. Your tribe will approach the others cautiously with gestures of peace. Knowledge is worth the danger. As you walk toward the distant camp with the adults, a strange feeling settles in your chest. It's not quite hope. That concept is too abstract for your world. It's something more primal, the sense that survival might become something more than just not dying, that there might be a way to push back against a world determined to end you. You're 10 years old. You've survived childhood as Homo erectus, something half your peers didn't manage. But the real test is just beginning. Adulthood in a world where everything, from the smallest parasite to the largest predator, from flood to drought, from rival tribes to shifting climates, wants you dead. And yet, somehow, your species will survive for nearly 2 million years, 10 times longer than Homo sapiens has existed so far. In evolutionary terms, Homo erectus isn't just a link in the chain leading to modern humans. It's one of the most successful hominid experiments nature ever produced. The fire grows larger as you approach the other tribe. The journey to becoming an adult begins now, and with it, a new chapter in the oldest struggle on Earth, the fight to survive one more day in a world designed to kill you. The other tribe sees you coming. 5 males form a line, stone tools gripped tight, their brow ridges shadow eyes that track your every move. Behind them, flames dance, a captive sun that keeps the darkness at bay. You stop 30 paces out, your tribe spreading into a non-threatening semicircle. No sudden movements, hands visible. This is the delicate dance of first contact in a world where strangers often mean death. One of your tribe's older males steps forward, empty palms raised. He makes a series of grunts and gestures, not quite language as modern humans will know it, but communication. The message is simple. We come for fire, not conflict. The other tribe's leader hesitates, then motions you forward. Not all of you, just a few. Your mother nudges you ahead with the selected adults. This is why you're here. Children learn faster, remember better. If anyone survives an attack, better it be the young. The fire is more magnificent up close, hypnotic, terrifying, salvation. Their camp has something yours lacks: security. No predator willingly approaches flame. The night belongs to them, not to the hunters with glowing eyes and silent paws. That night you learn your sixth survival lesson. Adaptation isn't just physical, it's technological. The tribes merge within days, not through ceremony or declaration, but necessity. More bodies mean more hunters, more gatherers, more eyes watching for danger. The firekeepers show your people their method, a friction bow that creates embers, which are carefully nursed to life with dried grass and steady breath. Your 11th year brings physical changes. Your body stretches, growing taller by the month. Muscle forms on your frame, reshaping you into the distinctive physique of Homo erectus, long-legged, narrow-hipped, built for distance over power. The pronounced brow ridge that shields your eyes from sun and sweat becomes more prominent. You're assigned to the hunting party now, no longer relegated to watching from afar. Your first proper hunt is a disaster. You step on a dry branch, sending the antelope bounding away before the trap is set. That night you eat roots and berries while the tribe watches you with hungry eyes. The failure burns worse than any fire. 2 days later, you try again. This time, you move like shadow, placing each foot with deliberate care. The hunting party spreads out, encircling a lone wildebeest that strayed from its herd, injured perhaps, vulnerable. The attack is coordinated without words, just hand signals and the shared understanding that comes from generations of shared survival. Stone-tipped spears pierce hide and muscle. The beast bellows, charges, but has nowhere to go. Its legs buckle. Blood steams in the morning air. You deliver the final blow. A stone hammer to the skull, quick, efficient, as merciful as this merciless world allows. There's no trophy ceremony, no posed photographs for future anthropologists to discover, just the urgent butchering of meat that must be carried away before larger predators arrive. That night, the tribe feasts. Strips of raw flesh disappear into hungry mouths. You eat until your stomach distends, knowing that tomorrow might bring nothing. Your portion is larger than before, the privilege of a provider rather than a dependent. At 13, you witness your first birth in the tribe. The mother squats beneath a tree, gripping a branch while her body contracts. No doctors, no midwives with medical training, just other women who've survived their own deliveries, offering what wisdom experience provides. The infant emerges small, wrinkled, and impossibly vulnerable. Its head is proportionally larger than a modern human baby's will be, but its brain far smaller. Evolution's compromise, big enough for complex thinking, small enough to pass through a pelvis designed for bipedal walking. The mother doesn't cry out during labor. Sound attracts predators. Her knuckles whiten around the branch. Her teeth clench until blood appears at the corners of her mouth, but she remains silent. This, too, is survival. Half of children don't survive their first year. Another quarter die before reaching adolescence. This baby's existence will be a continuous battle against odds that favor its extinction. Yet your species persists. Adaptation is powerful, but so is the drive to reproduce, to pass genes forward into an uncertain future. By 14, you're one of the tribe's primary hunters. Your body has reached nearly its full height, shorter than a modern human's, but leaner, denser, with a barrel-shaped chest that houses powerful lungs. Your arms are proportionally shorter than your ancestors. An adaptation for throwing spears rather than swinging through trees. You've survived 5 brushes with death. a leopard that caught you alone, forcing you to scramble up a cliff face despite your body's poor adaptation for climbing. Your hands bled for days afterward, a flash flood that swept away 2 others while you clung to a tree branch until your muscles screamed. Fever that left you delirious for 3 days. Your survival determined more by luck than medicine. A rival tribe that attacked at dawn, killing 3 before being driven off. A venomous snake strike that missed your ankle by the width of a finger. Each near death leaves its mark, not just physically, but in your brain's wiring. Your senses heighten. You notice details others miss. The subtle shift in bird calls when a predator approaches. The almost imperceptible tracks of a leopard in hard soil. The slight discoloration of berries that means the difference between nutrition and poison. Fear becomes your constant companion, not as paralysis, but as awareness. Every sound, every shadow, every unknown shape deserves evaluation. This hypervigilance will be maladaptive for your distant descendants in their safe, predator-free cities. For you, it's the difference between life and death. The seasons turn. Dry becomes wet, becomes dry again. The tribe migrates with the rhythms of the land, following game herds and ripening fruits. Each new territory brings different dangers. Crocodiles lurking at river crossings, poisonous plants that resemble edible ones. Hostile tribes protecting their hunting grounds. At 15, you take a mate. There's no ceremony, no exchange of rings, no promises of forever, just the biological imperative to reproduce and the practical advantage of partnership in a hostile world. 2 sets of eyes see more than one. 2 bodies generate more warmth on cold nights. 2 adults can protect young more effectively than one. Your first child arrives within a year. You watch as it emerges into daylight, impossibly small against the vastness of a world determined to extinguish it. Something shifts in your brain, a new kind of vigilance focused not on your survival, but theirs. The intensity of this feeling surprises you. In a world where death is commonplace, attachment is dangerous. Yet evolution has built this bond into your neurology, the desperate drive to protect offspring even at personal cost. It's not sentimentality, it's genetic imperative made emotion. You're 16 when your tribe encounters something unprecedented, a landscape transformed by fire. Not the controlled flames your people now master, but a massive wildfire that has swept across the savanna, leaving blackened earth and skeletal trees in its wake. Game is scarce. Water sources are fouled with ash. The tribe faces a choice: retreat to familiar territory already picked clean of resources, or press forward into the burn zone, hoping for regrowth and returning animals. The elders choose to push forward. It's a gamble that nearly destroys you all. 3 days in, with water dwindling and no food found, a child collapses. Then, an elder. The tribe breaks formation, spreading out in desperate search of anything edible. Discipline phrase. Voices rise, despite the danger. You're digging for roots when you hear it. A low, rumbling growl that freezes your blood. You look up slowly, muscles tensing for flight. 10 paces away stands a saber-toothed cat. Not the smaller variety your people sometimes drive off from kills, but Machirotus kabir, 800 pounds of muscle and hunger with canines like stone daggers. It watches you with predatory calculation, its tail flicking rhythmically. You know instantly that running means death. Those powerful limbs evolved to chase down prey. Your only advantage, your endurance over distance, means nothing in a sprint. So, you stand, slowly, make yourself large, grab a stick and wave it while producing the deepest, loudest roar your throat can manage. It's a bluff, but sometimes bluffs work. Predators prefer easy meals, targets that won't risk injuring them before the kill. The standoff lasts eternally. Seconds stretch to minutes as neither of you moves. Your arms begin to tremble from holding the stick aloft. Sweat trickles down your face despite the cool air. Your bladder threatens to empty itself. Finally, the cat turns away, not in fear, but in calculation. There are easier targets nearby. You've made yourself appear too costly to be worth the effort. When it disappears into the charred landscape, your legs give out. You sit trembling in the ash until another tribe member finds you. That night, huddled around a small fire, your tribe feeds on scorched tubers and a half-burned snake found in the wasteland. It's barely enough to keep death at bay, but it's something. The following day, new shoots are discovered pushing through the blackened soil. Life returning. You learn your 7th survival lesson. Devastation creates opportunity for those who endure. Within a week, the burn zone transforms. Green shoots emerge everywhere. Small game returns to feed on the fresh growth. Your tribe feasts after famine, growing stronger as the land renews itself. At 17, you're fully mature by Homo erectus standards. Your muscles have reached their peak density, your brain its full size, about 1,000 cubic centimeters, significantly larger than your ancestors, but still smaller than the humans who will eventually evolve from your lineage. One morning, tracking game with 3 others, you discover something strange. Footprints unlike any you've seen before. They belong to hominids, certainly, but they're different from yours. Smaller, closer to Homo habilis, but not quite the same. That night, from a hidden position, you observe them. A small band gathering around their own fire. Their bodies are more primitive than yours, their tools simpler. They're struggling, you can tell. Game has been scarce in this region. Your tribe could drive them off easily, claim their territory, take their resources, but your leader makes a different choice. The next day, your hunters bring down 2 antelopes instead of 1. You leave the second at the edge of their territory, not as a gift exactly, but as a gesture. 3 days later, they reciprocate with gathered fruits your tribe hasn't found. A tentative alliance forms, not through language or treaties, but through the shared recognition that cooperation sometimes offers better survival odds than competition. This, perhaps more than your tools or fire, is the true beginning of what will become humanity, the understanding that us can be more powerful than me. As your 18th year approaches, bringing with it full adulthood, the tribe prepares to migrate again. Weather patterns are shifting. The air carries the scent of distant rains. Animals move, and so must you. This time, you'll journey farther than before. Some in your tribe speak of lands beyond the familiar territory, places where different animals roam and different plants grow. The uncertainty breeds both fear and excitement. The night before departure, you sit beside the fire, your child sleeping against your chest. The flames illuminate faces that bear the marks of a brutal existence, scars, broken bones that healed imperfectly, missing fingers, burns. Yet these are the survivors, the ones who've adapted, learned, endured. You look at your child and wonder what world they'll inherit. You cannot imagine the ice ages that will come, driving your descendants to innovate or perish. You cannot conceive of the migrations that will eventually spread your kind across continents, adapting to environments from tropical forests to frigid steppes. All you know is the immediate future, the journey beginning tomorrow, the constant vigilance required to keep your family alive, the endless dance with death that defines existence. You are Homo erectus, not yet the dominant species on Earth, but perhaps the most tenacious. Your kind will survive for nearly 2 million years in a world where everything, climate, predators, disease, starvation, conspires to end you. This resilience isn't just your legacy, it's encoded in the DNA of every human who will follow. Long after your species gives way to newer hominid forms, the adaptations you pioneered will live on, in bodies built for endurance, in brains wired for both caution and cooperation, in the technological innovation that begins with controlled fire and stone tools. The dawn breaks, the migration begins, adulthood awaits, with all its dangers and responsibilities. The world still wants you dead. But you've survived this long, and survival is what your kind does best. The migration changes everything. 30 days of walking, 30 nights of vigilance. Your tribe pushes beyond known territories, following animal trails that wind through unfamiliar landscapes. The savanna gradually gives way to more wooded terrain, not dense forest, but scattered groves that offer both cover and danger. You're 20 now. Your body has reached its physical peak. Lean muscle wraps your frame like living armor. Your senses operate at maximum efficiency. Hearing that can detect a predator's breathing at 50 paces, vision that spots movement at the limits of the horizon. Smell that distinguishes subtle changes in the air that signal weather, predators, or food. You've become one of the tribe's leaders, not through declaration or ceremony, but through the quiet acknowledgement of your skills. When you speak, others listen. When you point, others look. It's a position earned through survival value, not ambition. The new territory is rich with resources, but riddled with unfamiliar threats. Strange plants that cause violent sickness when eaten. New predators with hunting patterns you haven't learned to anticipate. The tribe loses 2 members in the first week. An elder to poisonous berries. A child to a snake whose markings differ from those you know to avoid. Each death is a lesson purchased at the highest price. Water is plentiful here. Streams crisscross the landscape, fed by distant mountains. But water attracts everything else too. One morning, tracking deer with 3 others, you discover massive 3-toed footprints by a riverbank. Each depression could hold a child. Megafauna, the great beasts that dominate this epoch. You've encountered them before. Mammoths, giant sloths, enormous cats. But this print belongs to something you haven't seen, something local. That night, you learn what made them. The earth trembles before you hear it, a rhythmic booming that grows louder until trees sway at the forest edge. Then they appear, titanic creatures with necks that stretch toward the tree canopy, legs thick as baobab trunks, bodies that block out the setting sun. Giant giraffids, herbivores, but dangerous in their sheer mass. Your tribe watches from hiding as they drink from the river, marveling at their impossible scale. One swipe of their massive heads could kill instantly. One misplaced step could crush without malice. This is the Pleistocene world at its most awe-inspiring, a time when animals grow to proportions that will seem mythical to your distant descendants. For your tribe, these giants represent both danger and opportunity. Too large to hunt directly, but their presence means predators will be drawn to them. And where predators hunt, scavenging opportunities emerge. You learn your 8th survival lesson. In the presence of giants, make yourself invisible or indispensable. Over weeks, your tribe adapts to the new environment. You map mental territories, safe zones, danger areas, resource locations. The women discover tubers growing abundantly in the moist soil. The men track game paths and predator territories. Knowledge accumulates through observation and sometimes painful experience. Fire becomes even more crucial here. The nights are darker beneath the scattered trees, the predators more numerous. Your tribe maintains at least 3 flames now, 1 main fire and 2 smaller ones that create a perimeter of light around your sleeping area. The task of fire maintenance rotates, with someone always watching the flames. To sleep through their extinguishing is a deadly mistake. At 22, you've fathered 3 children. 2 still live. The middle one, a girl, succumbed to fever during the migration. There was nothing to be done. No medicine, no treatment beyond cooling her with wet cloths and praying to forces you don't understand. When she stopped breathing, you buried her beneath a distinctive tree so that something would mark her passing. It's more ceremony than most get. Your surviving children are learning as you once did through observation, imitation, and direct experience. The boy, now 7, already shows skill with stone tools, his small hands surprisingly deft at napping flakes from cores. The girl, just 4, watches everything with the intense focus that might keep her alive long enough to reproduce. They are your genetic legacy, the vessel through which your adaptations might persist into future generations. You protect them fiercely, but not softly. Comfort is a luxury that leads to vulnerability. Better they learn danger through controlled exposure than fatal surprise. One dawn, the tribe awakens to an unfamiliar sound, rhythmic pounding that echoes through the trees. Not animal, not storm, human-made. Scouts return with troubling news. Another tribe has established itself barely half a day's walk away, larger than yours, better armed with more sophisticated stone tools. Their territory overlaps what you've begun to consider yours. Conflict seems inevitable. Resources, while plentiful, are finite. 2 tribes this close will eventually compete for the same game, the same gathering grounds, the same safe sleeping areas. But your leader makes a surprising decision. Rather than prepare for battle or relocate, he selects 3 tribe members, including you, to approach the strangers. Not with weapons drawn, but with a gift, a portion of yesterday's kill, wrapped in leaves. It's a gamble that could end with your death, but it's calculated. If the other tribe wanted war, they would have attacked already. They've been watching you as you've been watching them. The encounter is tense. You approach their camp with the meat held visibly, moving slowly. Their sentries spot you immediately, raising an alarm that brings the entire tribe to defensive positions. For several heartbeats, it seems the mission will end with spears in your chest. Then, their leader steps forward, a female, surprisingly. Older, her skin mapped with scars that speak of survival against impossible odds. She studies your offering, then you, her eyes narrowing with calculation. What follows isn't diplomacy, as later humans will practice it. There are no speeches, no treaties. Communication happens through gesture, expression, and the universal language of survival. The meat is accepted, space is shared, and understanding emerges that cooperation might benefit both groups. Over weeks, the tribes establish boundaries and exchange knowledge. They show your people new tool-making techniques, more sophisticated than anything you've seen. Their hand axes have finer edges, their spear points more secure attachments. In return, your tribe shares fire-making methods they haven't mastered. This cultural exchange accelerates adaptation in ways genetic evolution alone cannot. Knowledge transfers instantly, not over generations. Both tribes grow stronger. You learn your 9th survival lesson. Enemies and allies are often the same beings viewed at different moments. Your 25th year brings unprecedented challenges. The weather patterns shift dramatically. Rains that should last weeks extend for months. Rivers swell beyond their banks, transforming large portions of your territory into swampland. Game disperses, making hunting increasingly difficult. Gathered foods rot quickly in the constant damp. Disease follows the floods. Fevers spread through both tribes, claiming the very young and very old first, then reaching into the ranks of even the strongest adults. Your younger child falls ill, her small body burning with heat that no cool cloths seem to diminish. For 3 days you don't sleep. You maintain constant watch, trying every remedy the tribe's collective knowledge offers. Certain leaves crushed and mixed with water, specific roots chewed to paste and applied to the skin. Nothing works. On the 4th day, when hope has nearly abandoned you, a woman from the other tribe approaches. She carries a bundle of plants you don't recognize. Through gestures, she indicates they should be steeped in hot water, then given to the child to drink. Desperation overcomes suspicion. You follow her instructions. By nightfall, your daughter's fever breaks. By morning, she sits up, weakened but alive. This moment, this simple act of shared knowledge, saves not just your child, but eventually many in both tribes. It reinforces the value of cooperation, of combined wisdom. It's a microcosm of how human culture will become humanity's greatest survival adaptation. The rains eventually subside, but they've permanently altered the landscape. New waterways cut through familiar territory. Areas once dry are now permanent marsh. The tribes must adapt again, learning to harvest new food sources, fish trapped in newly formed pools, water plants with edible roots, birds drawn to the expanded wetlands. You develop new tools for this changed environment. Fishing spears with multiple points, woven containers that can trap fish while allowing water to flow through. These aren't just tools, they're cognitive leaps, solutions to problems that didn't exist before. This adaptability, more than physical strength or speed, is what will eventually make humans the dominant species on Earth. At 27, you face the most dangerous hunt of your life. A saber-toothed cat has been stalking the edges of your territory, taking down game that your tribe depends on, and, worse, killing 2 children who wandered too far from the main group. This can't continue. The predator has learned that humans mean easy meals. It must be eliminated or driven away. 5 of you set out before dawn, the strongest hunters from both tribes, armed with the best weapons your combined technology can produce. Not just spears, but spears with detachable points designed to remain embedded in the target. Not just stones, but bolas. Stones wrapped in hide strips that can entangle legs when thrown correctly. Tracking the cat requires all your skill. It moves like shadow, leaving minimal signs of its passage, but it cannot hide the impact of its kills. Disturbed earth, blood trails, scattered bones. You follow this grim path for most of a day, tension building with each step. When the attack comes, it's not from the direction you expect. The cat has circled behind, using the wind to mask its scent. Its first leap takes down one hunter, massive teeth puncturing his skull before anyone can react. What follows isn't a coordinated hunt, but desperate survival. The cat is faster, stronger, armed by evolution with killing tools that make your spears seem primitive. But you have numbers, and you have something the cat doesn't: the cognitive ability to adapt tactics in real time. The battle lasts less than a minute, but feels eternal. 2 hunters distract from the front, while you and another circle behind. Your spear finds its mark between the cat's ribs, driving deep into lung tissue. It roars, turning to face this new threat, giving the others their opportunity. More spears pierce hide and muscle. The cat fights with the fury of a creature that has never known defeat, taking another hunter's arm before finally succumbing. In the aftermath, You stand over its massive body, your own blood mixing with its on the forest floor. One hunter dead, another permanently maimed, but the threat is eliminated. You skin the cat, not as trophy, but as resource. Its hide will become coverings that protect against increasingly cool nights. Its bones will become tools. Its meat, while tough, will feed both tribes. Nothing is wasted because nothing can be afforded to be wasted. That night, something unprecedented occurs. The tribes gather together, sharing fire and food in the first deliberate feast either can remember. It's not celebration exactly. The cost was too high for that. It's acknowledgement, recognition of what cooperation has accomplished. As the firelight illuminates faces from both groups, differences that once seemed significant, slight variations in appearance, tool design, clothing, fade against the backdrop of shared humanity. You are all Homo erectus, all fighting the same battle against extinction. The following months bring new challenges and developments. Your tribe absorbs members of the other when their numbers dwindle from disease. The combined group is stronger. More hunters, more gatherers, more eyes watching for danger, more brains solving problems. You're approaching 30 now, already old by the standards of your time. Your body shows the cumulative impact of a life lived without medical intervention. Bones broken and healed incorrectly create chronic pain. Wounds infected and recovered leave lasting weakness. Joints wear from constant use without respite. But your value to the tribe increases even as your physical prowess begins its slow decline. You possess something the youngest, strongest hunters lack: experience, memory, the accumulated knowledge of 30 years surviving in a world designed to kill you. You've seen drought and flood, predator attacks and tribal warfare, disease and starvation. You've witnessed tools evolve from simple stone flakes to complex multi-component implements. You've watched fire transform from mysterious phenomenon to managed resource. This wisdom makes you more valuable alive than any amount of meat your death would provide. The tribe protects you not from sentiment, but practicality. In a world without writing, without permanent records, memory is the only repository of crucial survival knowledge. One night, as the tribe settles around fires that now burn continuously, a strange feeling overtakes you. Not contentment, that luxury belongs to future generations who will live without constant threat. Not happiness, an abstract concept that requires baseline safety to emerge. What you feel is purpose. Direction, the sense that your existence isn't merely about avoiding death for one more day, but about pushing forward something larger than yourself, the accumulated adaptations, both genetic and cultural, that will eventually lead to beings who can contemplate their own existence. You don't articulate this feeling. You lack the language, the conceptual framework, but it sits in your chest like a warm coal, providing heat against the growing chill of the approaching season. The air carries new scents now, the promise of changes more dramatic than any you've witnessed. Animals move with greater urgency. Plants drop seeds earlier than in seasons past. Something significant approaches. And with it, the next challenge in the endless test of survival that is life as Homo erectus in a world where everything wants you dead. But you've survived this long, and the adaptations you've pioneered, both biological and cultural, will echo through time, helping shape the species that will eventually look back and recognize you as ancestor. The fire burns, the night deepens. Tomorrow brings new territories to explore, new threats to overcome, new opportunities to adapt. The journey continues. The world is changing around you. It starts with cold, not the normal nighttime chill, but a persistent cooling that lingers into daylight hours. Mornings reveal frost on grass, something you've rarely seen before. Animals you've hunted for years begin to disappear, moving southward ahead of the creeping cold. You're 32 now. Not elderly, but no longer young. Your body bears the accumulated damage of 3 decades surviving in a world designed to eliminate you. A badly healed broken arm that aches when rain approaches, scars from predator attacks that pull tight in cold weather, joints that protest each morning before reluctantly performing their functions. The tribe feels the change too. Food grows scarcer as plants respond to cooling temperatures. Game becomes harder to find. Children who once played at the camp's edge now stay close to the fires. The elders speak of times when the world grew cold before, though none have lived long enough to witness a full cycle of what future humans will call glaciation. A council forms around the main fire, not through formal declaration, but through necessity. The oldest and wisest from your merged tribe, now numbering nearly 50 individuals. You're among them, your experience valued despite your relatively young age. The debate lasts through night and into dawn. Stay and adapt to the changing conditions, or leave, push into unknown territories in search of warmer climates. Both choices carry mortal risk. Remaining means potential starvation as resources dwindle. Leaving means facing unknown predators, unfamiliar plants that might nourish or poison, hostile tribes already occupying desirable territories. In the end, necessity decides. The winter grows harsher. Food stores dwindle to nothing. The tribe must move or perish. But this migration will be different from seasonal relocations. You're not following familiar game trails to known territories. You're pushing into lands no member of your tribe has seen. It's a desperate gamble with survival as the only prize. The tribe moves northeast, following the path of least resistance, river valleys that cut through increasingly rugged terrain. The journey is brutal. 2 elders die in the first week, their bodies simply giving out against the combined stresses of cold, hunger, and constant movement. A child falls through river ice and is swept away before anyone can react. Each loss diminishes not just your numbers, but your collective knowledge, wisdom that can never be recovered. The landscape transforms gradually, then dramatically. Scattered trees give way to denser forests, then to open plains swept by winds that cut through hide coverings as if they weren't there. Mountains rise in the distance, not the gentle hills of your homeland, but jagged peaks that scrape the sky. Game changes too. The familiar antelopes and zebras disappear, replaced by stockier, shaggier creatures better adapted to cold. Early versions of what will later be called mouflon, ibex, and wild goats. They're harder to hunt, their footing sure on rocky terrain that humans navigate clumsily. Your hunting parties return empty-handed more often than not. One evening, as the tribe makes camp in the shelter of a cliff face, scouts return with alarming news. They've spotted another tribe, not Homo erectus like yourselves, but something different, shorter, more heavily built, with massive brow ridges and powerful arms. They're working territories just ahead on your path. Neanderthals, though you don't know them by that name. You recognize them as distinct from your kind, neither fully human nor fully other, a parallel branch on the tree of life that future scientists will map. You've encountered their kind before, brief, tense interactions that sometimes ended in violence, sometimes in cautious trade. They're formidable, stronger than Homo erectus, with brains as large as yours, perhaps larger. Their tools are sophisticated, their hunting skills legendary. The tribe splits on how to proceed. Some advocate for changing course to avoid potential conflict. Others argue that the presence of these other hominins proves the territory ahead can support human life. In the end, necessity again decides. There's no turning back to the cooling lands behind you. The only path is forward. You approach their territory cautiously, sending scouts ahead to observe their patterns, their numbers, their temperament. What you learn is surprising. This group appears to be struggling, their numbers small, their hunters returning with meager kills. Something has weakened them. Disease, perhaps, or internal conflict. Whatever the cause, they're vulnerable in ways you didn't expect. The encounter, when it finally comes, happens at a river crossing. Your hunters meet theirs as both track the same herd of ibex. For several tense moments, violence seems inevitable. Spears are raised, guttural warnings issued in languages neither group fully understands. Then something unexpected happens. One of their females steps forward, a child clutched to her chest. The infant is clearly ill, its breathing labored, its small body racked with fever. Through gestures and sounds, she communicates a desperate request: help. This moment, this simple act of vulnerability, changes everything. Your tribe's healer moves forward, examining the child with hands that have nursed countless fevers. She recognizes the symptoms, the same sickness that swept through your own people seasons ago. She knows the treatment. Prostrigo or house cow. Particular root that must be chewed to paste and applied to the chest. What follows isn't friendship exactly. These hominins remain distinct, separate from your tribe in ways both physical and cultural. But cooperation emerges. Territory is shared, knowledge exchanged. Their superior cold weather adaptations, better hide preparation techniques, more effective shelter construction help your people survive. Your tribe's superior hunting strategies help them secure more reliable food sources. You learn your 10th survival lesson. Adaptation sometimes means embracing what's different. The season turns, snow recedes, plants you've never seen before push through thawing ground. The tribe continues its journey, now with 2 Neanderthal families integrated into your numbers, a merger born of mutual desperation but sustained by mutual benefit. The landscape transforms again as you push further east. Forests thin, mountains give way to vast, open plains that seem to extend forever. The wind here is relentless, carrying dust that infiltrates everything: food, water, lungs. Game is plentiful but different. Erectus, the future humans will call mammoths. Hunting them requires new strategies. They're too large, too dangerous for direct confrontation. Instead, your people develop ambush techniques, driving them toward ravines where a fall might cripple them, or using fire to panic and separate individuals from the herd. The first successful mammoth hunt is transformative. The meat from one kill feeds the entire tribe for weeks. The hide provides material for multiple shelters. The bones become tools, the tusks weapons. Nothing is wasted because nothing can be afforded to be wasted. You're 35 now, firmly in middle age by Homo erectus standards. Your role has shifted from primary hunter to something more valuable: teacher, strategist, knowledge keeper. You watch your children, now nearly grown themselves, learning to navigate this new world with adaptations you never had to develop. They move through snow with ease where you still struggle. They recognize patterns in animal migrations that took you years to discern. This is how species survive, not just through individual persistence, but through generational adaptation. Your children aren't exactly like you. They're better suited to this new environment because they grew up in it. Their children will be better still. One morning, after nearly a year of continuous migration, your tribe crests a ridge and sees something none of you have encountered before. Water stretching to the horizon, not a river or lake, but what future humans will call an ocean. Salt water that extends beyond sight. The tribe follows the coastline, finding it rich with new food sources, shellfish that can be harvested at low tide, fish that can be speared in shallow waters, birds that nest in accessible cliffs. For the first time in memory, food is abundant without constant hunting. Here, the tribe stops its continuous movement. Temporary shelters become semi-permanent. Food gathering becomes systematic rather than opportunistic. Children born here will know this place as home, something you've never experienced in your nomadic existence. You're approaching 40 when the next great challenge emerges. Strangers appear on the horizon, not Neanderthals or any hominin species you've encountered before. They're taller, slimmer, with higher foreheads and less pronounced brow ridges. Their tools are unlike anything you've seen. Intricately crafted, multi-component implements that make your most sophisticated creations seem primitive. Homo sapiens, the species that will eventually replace all others. Though you can't know it, you're witnessing the leading edge of the migration that will eventually populate the entire planet with a single human species. The encounter is cautious, but not hostile. These new humans communicate differently, their vocalizations more complex, accompanied by hand gestures that seem almost like a language unto themselves. Understanding comes slowly, through repetition and demonstration rather than innate comprehension. What you learn from them changes everything. They control fire in ways your tribe never mastered, not just maintaining it, but creating it at will, using techniques that seem like magic until demonstrated. They cook food, not just meat, but plants too, transforming inedible substances into nourishment through the application of heat. Most significantly, they organize differently. Their social structure isn't just about survival efficiency, but includes elements your people have never considered. Decoration that serves no practical purpose, objects that seem designed for pleasure rather than utility, rituals that mark time and transitions rather than just responding to immediate needs. Integration happens gradually. Some of your tribe resist, preferring familiar ways despite their limitations. Others, particularly the younger members, adopt these new approaches readily. You find yourself between worlds, appreciating the advantages of these innovations while recognizing what might be lost in their adoption. Your body continues its inevitable decline. At 42, you're among the oldest in your tribe. Walking becomes painful as joints worn by decades of constant use begin to fail. Your eyesight dims, making you increasingly dependent on others for tasks requiring precision. Wounds heal more slowly. Cold penetrates more deeply. But your mind remains sharp, perhaps sharper than ever, as it compensates for physical limitations. You become a repository of knowledge, spanning environments from African savanna to Asian steppe to coastal plain. Your memory preserves techniques for surviving in climates these newer humans have never experienced. This makes you valuable despite your physical limitations. One evening, as firelight illuminates the mixed gathering of Homo erectus, Neanderthals, and Homo sapiens that your tribe has become, you notice something profound. The children play together without distinction, learning each other's ways without the hesitation their parents still exhibit. They're creating something new. Not just surviving, but synthesizing adaptive strategies from multiple sources into something more effective than any single approach. You recognize this as the future, not just of your immediate descendants, but of humanity itself. The ability to incorporate, to innovate, to transform limitation into opportunity. This cognitive flexibility, more than physical prowess, is what will eventually make humans the dominant species on Earth. The realization brings an unfamiliar sensation, not quite peace in a world still filled with mortal danger, but something close to it. The understanding that your life, your struggles, your adaptations haven't just served your individual survival, but have contributed to something larger. A journey that began with the first bipedal steps millions of years ago and continues through these children toward a future you cannot imagine. You're 45 when the world changes again. The climate shifts once more, not toward cooling this time, but warming. Plants appear that you haven't seen since childhood in African territories. Animals migrate northward, following expanding habitable zones. The rhythm of seasons alters, becoming more distinct, more predictable. The tribe splits in response. Some, including most of the Homo sapiens, continue northward, following game into newly accessible territories. Others, including most of the Neanderthals, move west toward what will eventually be called Europe. A core group, including your direct descendants, remains in the coastal territory that has become home. You stay with them, your aged body no longer capable of extended migration. Your role now is purely as knowledge keeper, the living memory of territories, techniques, and trials that might otherwise be forgotten. You teach what you've learned through 9 decades of existence in a world determined to end you. Lessons purchased through struggle, pain, and the countless near extinctions your species has survived. The most important lesson, the one you emphasize above all others, adaptability trumps specialization. The creatures that survive aren't the strongest or fastest or most perfectly adapted to specific conditions. They're the ones that can change when conditions demand it. Physiologically over generations, behaviorally within lifetimes. This is the legacy of Homo erectus, not just the physical adaptations that made long-distance migration possible, not just the technological innovations that expanded the environments humans could inhabit, but the cognitive flexibility that allowed rapid adaptation to changing circumstances. This is what allowed your species to persist for nearly 2 million years, 10 times longer than Homo sapiens has existed so far. As you approach 50, an almost unheard of age for your time, you watch your grandchildren's children playing by the shore, their bodies already showing subtle differences from yours. They're the future, not just of your genetic line, but of the human journey that began with the first upright steps on African plains. They face a world still filled with mortal dangers, predators, disease, climate shifts, resource competition, but they carry with them the accumulated adaptations of countless generations who survived against impossible odds. Your struggle becomes their advantage, your knowledge, their starting point. This is how a species persists in a world where everything wants it dead, not through individual immortality, but through collective adaptation, not by conquering nature, but by changing with it, not by strength alone, but through the uniquely human capacity to learn, remember, and transmit knowledge across generations. You are Homo erectus, and though your individual life will soon end, your adaptations will echo through human DNA for millions of years to come. The fire burns, the waves crash, the endless cycle of survival continues. Your 50th year brings the rains, not gentle showers that nourish plants and replenish streams, but torrential downpours that transform the land. Rivers swell beyond their banks. Familiar paths disappear beneath muddy water. The tribe's semi-permanent shelters, built during drier seasons, now sit in pools that deepen with each passing day. Your body, ancient by Homo erectus standards, aches with the constant damp. Joints that already protested normal movement now scream with each shift of weight. The cough that began last season never fully disappeared and now returns with renewed force, rattling your chest through sleepless nights. You're old, not just old for your time, but impossibly old. Most of your kind never see 30, yet you've lived nearly twice that long. Your survival defies the odds that claim most lives well before they've fully matured. The tribe recognizes your value despite your physical limitations. When they relocate to higher ground, 4 young hunters carry you on a frame of branches and hides. Not from sentiment. Homo erectus can't afford such luxury, but because your mind still holds knowledge too valuable to lose. From your new vantage point on the hillside, you watch the waters transform the coastal plain where you've lived for years. What was familiar becomes alien. What was safe becomes deadly. Yet even this catastrophe carries opportunity for those who know how to find it. You direct the younger tribe members to the places where floodwaters will trap fish as they recede, where certain plants will emerge first from the mud, where animals will return to drink as new pools form. This knowledge, accumulated through decades of observation, turns potential disaster into unexpected bounty. This is your role now, not hunter or defender or even leader, but living repository of survival wisdom, the encyclopedic memory of environments, seasons, plants, animals, and adaptation strategies that have kept your line alive when countless others perished. Your children are adults now, with children of their own. Your grandchildren approach adulthood. Even your great-grandchildren, a rarity in your time, play nearby, their bodies already showing subtle differences from yours. Limbs slightly longer, foreheads marginally higher, brains fractionally larger. Evolution happens too slowly for individuals to perceive, but across generations the pattern emerges. One morning, as you sit beside the fire instructing young hunters on reading weather signs, a commotion breaks out at the camp's edge. Strangers approach, not threatening but cautious. They're Homo sapiens, like those you encountered years ago, but different somehow. Their tools are even more sophisticated, their communications more complex. They've come not to claim territory, but to trade, offering crafted implements unlike anything your tribe possesses in exchange for knowledge of local food sources. After initial wariness, exchange begins through gestures and the limited shared vocabulary that has developed between your species. Information flows both ways. What strikes you most is how these newcomers watch you, not with the dismissal often directed at the elderly, but with intense focus. When you speak, your voice now creaking like old leather, they lean forward, absorbing every sound, every movement. They recognize what your own people have always known: age equals experience equals survival value. That night, as fires burn against the darkness, you notice something unprecedented. One of the newcomers makes marks on a flat piece of bark using charcoal from the fire, not random patterns, but deliberate, repeated shapes. The others watch, nodding as if these marks carry meaning. You're witnessing the birth of symbolic representation, what future humans will call writing. Though primitive by later standards, it represents a cognitive leap your kind never made, the ability to record knowledge outside the human brain, to preserve information beyond the lifespan of individuals, to communicate across time and space. It's both wondrous and troubling. Your value to the tribe has always been your memory, the accumulated wisdom that can't be preserved any other way. If knowledge can exist outside living minds, what becomes of those whose primary worth is remembering? But such philosophical concerns are luxury your world doesn't permit. Survival remains the immediate priority. The waters eventually recede, leaving behind transformed landscape that requires new adaptation strategies. Game patterns change, plant distributions shift. What worked before no longer applies. Your 53rd year brings new challenges. Your eyesight, already diminished, fades further. Colors blur. Distances become impossible to judge. Your hearing remains sharp, perhaps sharper as it compensates for visual decline. But this adaptation only partially offsets the loss. The cough worsens during cold periods, easing somewhat in warmer months, but never fully disappearing. Each winter seems more likely to be your last, yet somehow you endure. Your body, despite its limitations, stubbornly refuses to surrender the spark that has sustained it against impossible odds for over 5 decades. You've outlived most of your contemporaries. Of those who shared your childhood, none remain. The elders who taught you survival skills are long dead, their bones scattered across territories stretching back to African plains. Even most of those you guided into adulthood have succumbed to predators, disease, accidents, or the simple wearing out of bodies never designed for longevity. Yet you persist, a living link to environments and adaptations otherwise lost to memory. Your value increases even as your physical capabilities decline, creating the strange paradox of being simultaneously more vulnerable and more essential to the tribe's survival. Your 55th year brings unprecedented events. Strange humans arrive, not the Homo sapiens you've encountered before, but something different, taller, with features that combine elements of multiple species. Scientists in the far future
will identify them as hybrids. Regional breeding between Homo sapiens and Neanderthals.
They bring new technologies, new approaches to survival challenges. Most significantly, they bring more sophisticated control of fire, not just maintenance or creation, but purposeful application. They cook food consistently, transforming toxic plants into edible resources, making meat more digestible, preserving perishable items through smoking. This single adaptation, the systematic application of heat to food, will eventually allow human brains to grow larger without requiring proportionally larger digestive systems. It represents one of the most significant leaps forward in human evolution, though you can't recognize its full implications. What you do recognize is the immediate benefit. Cooked food eases the burden on your worn teeth and aging digestive system. Items that once caused pain to consume now provide nourishment with less physical cost. It's a small mercy in a world that offers few. Your tribe absorbs these newcomers as it has others, not through formal decision, but through the organic process of mutual benefit. Those adaptations that improve survival are incorporated. Those that don't are discarded. Culture evolves through natural selection just as bodies do. By your 58th year, your tribe has transformed into something that barely resembles the group you were born into. Multiple hominid species now coexist within a single social structure: Homo erectus, Neanderthals, Homo sapiens, and various hybrids. Languages blend into a pidgin that allows basic communication across genetic boundaries. Technologies combine elements from diverse traditions. This mixed group represents a microcosm of what's happening across the human world. Species that evolved in isolation now come together, sharing genes and ideas in ways that accelerate adaptation beyond what biological evolution alone could accomplish. It's messy, sometimes conflicted, but enormously effective at enhancing survival odds. Your 60th year arrives, an age so rare among your kind that no word exists to describe it. You've lived 3 times longer than the average Homo erectus. Your body reflects this improbable longevity. Movement becomes increasingly difficult as joints stiffen and muscles atrophy. Your diet restricts to what requires minimal chewing and digestion. Your voice weakens to whispers that require close attention to discern. Yet your mind remains clear, sharper in some ways as it compensates for physical decline. Your memory stretches back across decades, preserving knowledge of territories and adaptations otherwise lost to time. Young hunters and gatherers still seek your counsel before embarking on expeditions, absorbing wisdom that has accumulated through countless life-or-death encounters. One morning, as dawn breaks over the coastal hills, you realize with sudden clarity that you've witnessed what few of your kind ever have: genuine progress. Not just adaptation to immediate threats, but cumulative advancement, fire mastery, tool sophistication, social complexity, communication systems, food preservation, shelter construction. None of these emerged fully formed, each developed through incremental improvements across generations, the successful innovations preserved, the failures discarded. You've participated in this process not just as passive observer, but as active contributor, your own adaptations becoming part of the collective knowledge that propels humanity forward. This recognition brings an unfamiliar feeling, not happiness exactly, since that concept requires a level of security your world never provided, but something adjacent to it: the sense that your existence served purpose beyond individual survival, that your struggle against extinction contributed to something larger than yourself. Your 62nd year brings the illness that finally accomplishes what countless predators, climate shifts, famines, and hostile tribes could not. It begins with fever that fire heat can't alleviate. Breathing becomes labored, each inhalation a conscious battle. Food loses appeal. Water tastes wrong. The tribe's healers, now incorporating medical knowledge from multiple hominid traditions, apply every remedy their collective wisdom suggests. Certain leaves crushed and mixed with water, specific roots chewed to paste and applied to the chest, smoke from special woods inhaled to clear breathing passages. Nothing works. This enemy attacks from within, invisible and unstoppable by prehistoric medicine. Perhaps a simple bacterial infection that modern antibiotics would easily defeat, or a viral assault that current vaccines would prevent. But in your time, such ailments are simply fate. The final predator that eventually claims all who somehow evade the more visible threats. As strength fades, the tribe gathers around your sleeping place, not just your direct descendants, but representatives from all the hominid groups that now comprise your extended family. They come not from sentiment, as modern humans would understand it, but from practical necessity. Final knowledge must be transferred before it's lost forever. For 3 days you speak, voice barely audible but words absorbed with intense focus by those gathered close. You describe territories from memory, detail seasonal patterns observed across decades, explain animal behaviors that signal specific threats or opportunities. Information that can't be recorded in writing or preserved in artifacts, only in the memories of those who hear it. On the 4th day, speech becomes impossible. Breathing requires all available energy. The transfer of knowledge, incomplete but substantial, has ended. The tribe continues its normal activities: hunting, gathering, tool-making, child-rearing. Life proceeds because it must. Individual survival matters, but species survival matters more. That night, as firelight illuminates the gathering, you watch through dimming eyes as children play nearby. Some clearly Homo erectus, others Neanderthal, others Homo sapiens, many showing mixed features that defy simple categorization. They represent the future, not just of your genetic line, but of humanity itself. What you can't know, what no one in your time could possibly comprehend, is that only one of these lineages will persist into the distant future. Homo sapiens will eventually become the sole surviving human species, absorbing some genetic material from other hominids but largely replacing them across the planet. Homo erectus, your kind, will disappear as distinct species, outcompeted by more advanced descendants or absorbed through interbreeding. Yet your legacy continues in the DNA of every human who follows. The adaptations your species pioneered: bipedal locomotion, reduced body hair, efficient cooling through sweating, larger brains, tool use, fire mastery, become the foundation upon which later innovations build. Your final moments bring neither fear nor regret, concepts that require security baseline your world never provided. Instead, there's simply the quiet recognition that you've survived far longer than probability allowed, contributed to the collective adaptation that might ensure your descendants' continued existence, and now reached the inevitable conclusion that awaits all living things. Your last breath escapes without ceremony. Your tribe will not maintain elaborate burial rituals or extended mourning periods. By tomorrow, your body will be placed away from the camp, not from disrespect, but practical necessity. Decomposition attracts predators. Sentiment is luxury evolution hasn't yet selected for. What remains isn't physical, but informational. The knowledge transferred, the adaptations demonstrated, the survival strategies employed successfully enough to sustain life for over 6 decades in a world designed to end it much sooner. This legacy persists not through monuments or written records, but through the continued existence of those who learned from you. You were Homo erectus. For nearly 2 million years, your kind walked Earth, 10 times longer than Homo sapiens has existed so far. You weren't just a transitional form, an evolutionary stepping stone towards something better. You were an extraordinarily successful adaptation to environments spanning multiple continents, climate shifts, predator guilds, and resource distributions. The story of human evolution isn't about inevitable progress toward modern form. It's about diverse experiments in survival, multiple viable approaches to the fundamental challenge of staying alive long enough to reproduce. Homo erectus represents one of the most successful of these experiments. A hominin perfectly adapted to its time and circumstances. Could you survive as Homo erectus in a world where everything wanted you dead? You did, for 62 improbable years, and the adaptations you and your kind pioneered still echo in the bodies, behaviors, and technologies of every human alive today. The fire burns, the tribe continues, life persists. The greatest survival story isn't about individuals who lived against impossible odds, but about a species that endured for 2 million years in a world constantly trying to extinguish it, adapting, innovating, persisting through ice ages and warming periods, predator, guilds and resource scarcity, disease and injury, and every imaginable threat to existence. That's the legacy of Homo erectus. Not just survival, but thriving in a world designed to kill you.